Hello students and my dear friends, myself HR Chaudhary, working as assistant professor in Department of CSE Engineering College Ajmer. So today we'll have a lecture on functional and non-functional testing basically. So we'll see what topics would be covered in the lecture. We can see here what is functional testing. We'll cover in this today's lecture. We'll cover what is non-functional testing. We'll see that what is the difference between functional and non-functional testing. Then in the last we'll see the key differences between the functional and non-functional testing. So now we start from the first of all, before moving to the functional testing, we can see the different type of software testing. So we can see in the figure, if we look at the broad level, so we can define or we can categorize the testing into three parts. That is, one is functional testing, another is non-functional testing, and the third one is maintenance testing. So we can see in the functional testing, there may be a different kind of testing is unit testing, integration, smoke and sanity testing, user acceptance, localization, globalization, interoperability, and so on. So these are the kinds of functional testing. Now if we look at the non-functional testing, so we can see the performance, endurance, load, volume, scalability, usability. These are the types of non-functional testing. And the third one is the maintenance, that covers in the regression and maintenance. Now we look at the what is functional testing. So a functional testing is a type of testing which verifies that each function of the software application operates in the conformance with the requirement specifications. So this is the definition of functional testing. This testing mainly involve black box testing, and it is not concerned about the source code of the application. Every functionality of the system is tested by the providing appropriate input, verifying the output, and comparing the actual results with the expected results. So this testing involves checking of user interface, APIs, database, security, client, and the server applications, and the functionality of the application under test. The testing cannot be done either manually or using automation. It has to be done. It can be done either from manually or it can be done by the both of the methods. Now if we talk about other things regarding the functional testing, so we can consider in the functional testing, basically we test the mainly following things basically in the functional testing. That is the mainline function, and the second one is the basic usability. We check in the functional testing that what is the basic usability of the software, and we can say the accessibility of the software. Check the accessibility of the software, what user needs basically. And the fourth one, we can say the error conditions. We check basically error conditions in the functional testing. Now if we look that how we can perform the functional testing, or what is the complete process for the functional testing, so we can have the certain steps. Basically we should have starting from the identify the test inputs basically. Then after we can move the compute expected outcomes with the selected test input values. Then after we can execute the test cases for the functional testing, and in the last we can comparison the actual and the computed expected results. So understanding the software engineering requirements, identify the test inputs, compute the expected outcomes, execute test cases, and comparison. This is the process of implementing the functional testing. Now we move forward to the non-functional testing. So we can see that non-functional testing is a type of testing to check non-functional aspects, that may be the performance, usability, reliability, etc. of a software application. It is designed to test the readiness of the system as per non-functional parameters, which are never addressed by the functional testing. An excellent example of non-functional testing would be to check how many people can simultaneously log in into a software. So it is a quality of software. We are concerned with the quality of the software, performance of the software in the non-functional testing. Non-functional testing is equally important as functional testing and affect the client satisfaction definitely. Now we have the certain kinds of objectives in the non-functional testing. So what are the objectives may be there? Non-functional testing should increase usability, efficiency, maintainability and the portability of the product. It helps to reduce the production risk and cost associated with non-functional aspects of the product. It optimizes the way product is installed, set up, executes and managed and the monitored. It also collects and produce measurements and matrices for the internal research and the development, or it improve and enhance the knowledge of the product behavior and the technologies in use. So these are the objectives of the non-functional testing. Now if we look at the characteristics of the non-functional testing, so it has certain kind of characteristics. Those may be like non-functional testing should be measurable. So there is no place for subjective characterization like good, better or best. The expect numbers are unlikely to be known at the start of the requirement process. Important to prioritize the requirements and ensure that the quality attributes are identified correctly in the software engineering. So these are the characteristics which is available in the non-functional testing. Now we can move forward. Now we can see, we can compare the functional and the non-functional testing. So we can see here that we have a different kind of parameters. On the basis of these parameters we can compare the functional and non-functional testing. So we start from the execution. If you talk about execution, if you talk about the functional, so it is performed before the non-functional testing definitely, and if you talk about the non-functional, so it is performed after the functional testing. Now if we focus area, if we talk about functional, so it is based on customers requirements, wherein non-functional it is focuses on the customers expectation. If we talk about the requirement, on the basis of requirement, so in functional it is easy to define functional requirements, where if you talk about non-functional it is difficult to define the requirements for non-functional testing. Now if you talk about the usage, so it help in functional to validate the behavior of the application, wherein non-functional help to validate the performance of the application. So in non-functional we are talking some different kind of aspects. Now we consider the parameter objective. So it is carried out to validate the software actions in functional. If we talk about the non-functional, so it is done to validate the performance of the software basically. Now we look at the manual testing. So functional testing is easy to execute by manual testing, so it can be done manually also. But if we talk about non-functional, it is very hard to perform non-functional testing manually. If we talk about the functionality, it describes what the product does. If you talk about functional testing. Now if you talk about the non-functional, it describes how the product works. Now if we have example test cases in the functional, so we can have, suppose a page check login functionality. If we talk about the e-commerce, or there is a check login functionality, we can check here in functional testing. Whereas if we talk about the non-functional, the dashboard should load in 2 seconds. So this is the quality, this is the speed of the software basically, that is non-functional. Now we talk about the testing types, or we can say examples of different types of testings. So if you talk about the functional, so already we have seen the functional testings are unit testing, smoke testing, user acceptance, integration testing, regression testing, localization testing, globalization testing, or interoperability. These are the kinds of functional testing. Or if we talk about the non-functional, then we can see or we can look examples that are the performance testings, volume testing, scalability testing, usability testing, load testing, stress testing, compliance testing, portability testing, and disaster recover testing. So these all are the examples of the non-functional testing. So we can see that in non-functional we are concerned with the quality and performance of the software, where in the functional we are looking only on the output, desired output we are getting or not, what were the customers expectations, what are the clients requirement, we are getting the output as per those or not. Now we forward, we see that there are certain key differences between the functional and non-functional testing. So we can see, if we talk about the functional testing verify each function or feature of the software, whereas non-functional testing verify non-functional aspects like performance, usability and reliability. So already we have seen that in functional we talk about the minimum requirement of the function or what are the users requirement we are fulfilling or not, whereas in non-functional testing we are concerned only the performance, usability and other kind of things, speed of the software and all kind of things, reliability of the software. In functional testing can be done manually, where it's very difficult in non-functional. Now if we talk about functional testing based on customers requirements, where non-functional is based on the customers expectations basically. So if we talk about functional testing has a goal to validate software actions, whereas non-functional testing has a goal to validate the performance of the software. So if functional testing example is to check, already we have seen the login functionality, where in non-functional we are looking at the speed of the software. Functional describe what the product does, where the non-functional describe how the product works, already we have seen this thing. So functional testing is performed definitely before the non-functional testing. So these are the key differences between the functional and non-functional testing. Now it's over. Thank you.